Okay, no. Okay, treat me as an idiot and give me one simple, I told him even more viciously, treat me as an Anglo-Saxon idiot, sorry. And give me at least one empirical example of a multitude which wouldn't be just this poetic, you know, multitude of postmodern capitalists speculating on Wall Street. This is Negri's favorite topic of communists of today. But like where multitude really started to function on its own. And he was a little bit perplexed, and then he said, well, Chinese Cultural Revolution. And you know, me and Badiou, we were a little bit shocked because, I mean, if there ever was a failure, that was one. I mean, for me, now quite seriously, you know where is my problem with Negri here? Again, I appreciate him very much. I said publicly in Berlin, at some level, I am with Negri even against Badiou. The problem with Badiou, for me, is the same problem as with all these, let's call them French or French-oriented political philosophers. Rancière, up to a point, he's getting better now, Balibar, Ernesto Laclau, and so on. Did you notice how there is de facto no place for what in Marxism we call critique of political economy in their work? I mean, Badiou is quite open here. He says openly, economy, that's the domain of human animal, of utilitarian gains, and so on and so on. It has nothing to do with authentic politics. Here I agree with Negri. Economy is the place where the struggle should be won or lost. But where I disagree with Negri is in what? I claim that, and he admitted this to me when we talked, that Negri is still a fanatic in a good sense, I don't use this word here in an ironic sense, of the secret history of 20th century, which was, as for any democratic leftists, this story of immediate democracy, councils, Soviets, whatever. And they see the 20th century as one big kidnapping or reappropriation of authentic revolutionary outbursts, which was done at the level of Soviets and so on, by the state bureaucracy and so on. Some of my, nothing against them, they are my friends, I appreciate it, but nonetheless, some of my Trotskyite friends here in the UK have the same dream. The way they describe in the 20th centuries, can't you see, they say, okay, sorry, I'm blind, myopic, I don't see, but can't you see how, for example, Solidarność was a workers' movement council which was somehow mysteriously then kidnapped by the church, CIA, whomever you want, and so on and so on. I think that the lesson of the Chinese Cultural Revolution is much more tragic one. What we should abandon, here I agree with Badiou, is not only the state socialist form of the left of the 20th century, what we usually call communist states. Although, again, we should still maybe learn something from their experience, but as a form it's over. Not only, I go a step further, should we abandon, again, it's not a question of totally abandoning, but the form as such is no longer workable. The so-called social democratic welfare state, and we are now noticing with 20 years delay that not only communist totalitarianism did die in 1990, but I think also the social democratic welfare state. And if you allow me again a brief improvisation, I wonder if you agree. You are here my liberal fellow traveler. I hope you don't take it personally if I characterize you. You know what Marxists like. These were people whom they tolerated, but then at a certain point they had to be sent to Gulag and so on. No? Massive bourgeois intelligence, you know. Somehow you fit this, don't ask me why. But seriously, I hope you will agree with this, that with 20 years delay, we see that, again, social democracy is also losing ground, and something which genuinely worries me is Not only the fact about which I've written a lot, how in China and Far East a certain new model is emerging with a capitalism more efficient than ours, but at the same time with, at least I think, no need for democracy. This is something very harsh to swallow, you know, because again, as I wrote in my, I think, the previous book, you know, one thing you can say about capitalism, if you are honest, that we should, as Catholics like to put it, first give to the devil what belongs to that. Although you have here and there 10, 20 years of dictatorship, Chile, South Korea, but when things start to function again, always in the long term, democracy did generate some kind of demand for democracy. With all the bourgeois imitation, blah, blah, but it did it. What I worry is that now we have a new form of capitalism which unfortunately no longer does it. And it's even more efficient than our capitalism. So, something to worry. But what I'm saying is that, let's forget about this, let's look at Europe. Is not the part of this deep crisis, it's not disappearing, of old social democracies, I think a kind of a new division of political space. Let me simplify things to the utmost. Till recently, our political space was structured so that usually you have a left of center and right of center party. These were usually the two populist parties, not in Ernesto Laclau sense, but populist in the simple sense of addressing as voters the entire population. And then you have parties which consciously or out of necessity limited their appeal to a certain strata, like Green Party, old left fringe, or neo-fascist, or whatever. I claim that now, I wonder if you agree, sincerely, you have no bad jokes, a new polarity is emerging. We have more and more, on the one hand, what I cannot by call a neutral pro-capitalist country, and it's not necessarily bad. It's usually a country for pure efficient capitalism, but at the same time liberal, usually multiculturalist, pro-abortion, all that stuff. And the opponent, which is emerging, the main opposition, is usually some kind of a populist, fundamentalist, anti-immigrant reaction to it. This is clearly a situation in now re-emerging again and again in most of the post-communist East European, new members of the European Union were ex-communists who tried to play the role of the left of center party, are simply disappearing. And take Poland. You have Donald Tusk, pure liberal, apolitical, of course, falsely, but theoretical and so on. We are just trying to build a tolerant working system, and then you have the Tweedledee and Tweedledum, the Kaczynski. Okay, now it's only Tweedledee. But you know what I mean, no? Like, and the same thing is in Hungary, but not only there. They told me in Norway that there also this anti-immigrant party is the second one already. They fear that in Dutch it will become. And this dynamic, which is exclusively the dynamic of liberalism, and not a kind of radical liberalism, but this traditional market liberalism versus right-wing anti-immigrant nationalism, I claim this is, I will not go into it, but I claim this is a very dangerous dynamic. So let me now return after this short detour to my basic line. So what I'm trying to say is that the first thing to say here, wouldn't you agree, when we debate with liberals, we shouldn't say, no, no, you are the bourgeois enemies. We should tell them, we also like very much your freedoms, but only a new strong dose of the left in the long term will redeem, that's my sincere belief, will save what is worth saving in your freedoms. Otherwise, you will be slowly losing ground and forced to concede more and more to the extreme right. I mean, Jean-Marie Le Pen, who is unfortunately not an idiot, formulated this very nicely. When at some elections he lost, and he said he was quite right. We loss because we won, in the sense of because the center parties